Hello, everybody. Happy May 25th, 2020. My name is Christopher Saunders, and this is the Connecticut Sports Talent Show, where we talk all things talents in Connecticut. And happy Memorial Day to everybody out there. Depending, make sure you're social distancing, but celebrating the day in and of itself. Today, we have the head football coach for Platt, Jason Bruenn. Coach Bruenn, thanks so much for being able to come on today.
Well, thanks for having me on. It's a great day. It's happy Memorial Day to everybody. And, for those people who sacrificed everything, we want to thank, especially Platt football. We want to thank you for, giving us the freedom to play this great game and for us to have what we have in this country.
Coach, before we get into your coaching background and what you've done, I just want to say and want to commend you, the coaching staff, and whoever runs the Twitter handle for Platt. I just love what you guys do as far as promoting your players, making sure that people see the film and understand who they are as a player, but also a Platt student itself. I just want to commend you guys for that.
Yeah, my staff is awesome. They do a great job. Brian Frederick's our offensive coordinator. He is like the Twitter guru. I mean, I wouldn't do any of that stuff. He does it all. I think he's got multiple accounts too. I think he even talks to himself on it. But yeah, he does a great job. I put some stuff together and then I'll send it to him and he sends it out. I get lost on some of that social media stuff. I'm not totally ignorant, but you can get lost on those things sometimes.
Oh, you definitely can. But, it's great to see that, because some programs like yourself just aren't technical savvy. So when you have somebody like that who is, then it really kind of makes the program come out more and people, because nowadays everything's on social media. So if you can promote your players, that allows other recruiters to see it. Prime example, your star running back, Roberto Salas. People can now see what he's doing.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot different than it was even just 10 years ago with the social media and, where things are going. I mean, I don't know if any big time colleges are sitting there on Twitter looking at them, but definitely some, I think you get some more recognition. People know who you are. Once people start talking, then I think some of the college coaches probably do, hey, let me check this guy out. So I think the social media is as much as it's been a crutch sometimes, and it's done a lot of, it does some negative things because some kids get in a lot of trouble with it. I think it's done, if you use it positively, I think it can help your program out. And that's what we've tried to do.
Coach,
one of the things, I don't know if you saw it, one of the things that we're doing right now, and once again, Brian, spearheaded it, is he's collecting money and we're Platt in itself, not just football, but he heads it up. So I like to say it's Platt football, we're purchasing for our local hospital, Hunter's Ambulance, things like that. We're purchasing food on a weekly basis for them, just to say, thank you for being in the front of this whole pandemic and being on the front lines and doing what they can do. So it's been, it's just been a tremendous thing. And I don't know the exact numbers. I think we're up over about $2,600. And he's been delivering food, having food delivered to different places since this whole thing started.
Now, how can people get to that? How can they donate money or something?
It's usually from him. I don't, like I said, he's been collecting Venmo. I know people have given him cash. You can always just contact him. If you go on the Platt website, his email will be there, and he can tell you better.
And hopefully
find him on Twitter, because he's always on Twitter.
He probably has like 3 accounts and 2 burners, just like Kevin Durant.
Has no Facebook though. Refuses to go on Facebook, but does really? Twitter like a god. Yeah.
Interesting. I've never heard that. Somebody without a Facebook. I understand Twitter, but Facebook, everybody's got one.
Yeah. No, not him.
Interesting. Coach, you mentioned about 10 years ago. I know 10 years ago you were still coaching at Platt, but tell me before that, what were you doing as far as I always love to know about the coaching background of every coach, because every journey is not a straight line. Some guys go through the college ranks, then come back. Some go through high school, college, even pro, and then come back to the high school level. Just tell me about your journey.
My journey in coaching has 5 letters, Platt. I graduated in '92. I was trying to go to a couple different colleges I was looking at. Didn't really work out financially. Ended up at Central. Didn't continue to play football. My older brother was kind of helping with the freshman coaching. So I said, well, I'll go down and see what's going on. Next thing I know, I was helping out with the freshmen. About 4 or 5 years later, head coach, Coach Ryan, who, he was there for 27 years at Platt. He asked me to come up to the varsity. I worked 2 years as a defensive assistant. And then in 99 took over as a defensive coordinator. And then in 2007 became the head coach. So it's been specifically at Platt. It's been interesting. It's fun. I know the community. I live in the community. Grew up here. So a kid, my players know I'm one of them. They know where I'm from. I make myself accessible to Platt in all manners. I had last year, the cheerleaders had a competition, and for whatever reason, I don't know if it was car trouble, their coach was a little late getting down there. One of the cheerleaders called me and said, "Coach, we need to get in the building. We got to do our makeup." And I'm like, it's like 6:30 in the morning. I'm like, "Are you serious?" So I went down there at 6:30 and opened it up, and I hung out until the other coach got there. So, I've put in a lot of years in between playing, going to school there and playing there and now coaching there. I don't know if I'd have it any other way. I love the place. I can complain all day about it, but I love being there, and I love the kids. I love what we do there, and I think we do a lot of good things for the community and for the kids.
The community, I think, is the part that I think will make the program even that much better. Just because high school sports is much different than pros, because the high school players, for the most part, born and raised, depending on the town or the city or whatever. And I think, because of you being basically you're a Platt guy through and through. So you kind of already have that relationship with the community, and the local bread store, the local haircut place. I mean, all that. So you can really connect with the players, even, past, social media and all the tech stuff, just the fact of being a Platt human being.
Yeah, it is interesting. I mean, Platt, if you go through all the teachers, you'd be surprised at how many teachers actually went to Platt. Just in my phys ed department, our athletic director, Rich Katz, went to Platt and now teaches there. Trish Wodach, she just retired as a softball coach. Same thing. It's I don't know why, but it's a place that people want to come back to. And I think people, especially adults, when you get out there, you can kind of feel like you have some hope and you can make it better than what it was.
Now, for the football program, you mentioned how Coach Ryan was there for 27 years. You've been there now for 13 full seasons.
Yep.
Do you think being able to have that sustainability, and again, going back to the whole Platt through and through topic, do you think that's kind of helped the program keep it in the right direction?
I think the transition between Coach Ryan and myself was tremendous, because there wasn't a lot of change. The staff stayed on, and through the years, basically, it's been the same 3 or 4 guys. We've, added a few people have left, and we've, but it's been basically a consistent crew, from towards the end of his career and then right through to present day. I don't know if you know, I'm only the 4th coach of Platt High School football.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, since 1958. So it's pretty interesting. It's almost like you can't leave. I can't leave. After 5 years, you got to stay there for 20-something years. But it's a I don't know. It's a strange place because it does attract people for a long time. And I don't see myself leaving anytime soon. I do have at least 15 more years of teaching to go. So
that's a rare, to hear about a football coach, at a program that's only had 4 coaches in the history, especially dating back, what'd you say, 1950s?
1958, yeah.
Geez, I see. I like to hear that kind of stuff because sustainability for me, I'm a big sustainability guy. I like structure. When things are kind of going left and right and people are leaving and coming out, you kind of lose a little bit of that luster. And I think for Platt, that's a special thing that people should talk about more. Having, like you mentioned, only 4 coaches, you've been there for a long time. That's something that really needs to be mentioned a lot more.
Yeah, I mean, it's, you see a lot of, I know some of the local writers, they have the coaching carousel. And, I look at some of the schools that just have revolving doors. And I think that it helps to lead to some of our success because we do have a consistent leader, a consistent philosophy of how we're going to run things. We were talking about community earlier, and I think, when you look at Platt, when you look at Meriden, there's 3 high schools that play football, and to be able to split people up into that manner, it's difficult because you go to other towns, some of the coaches that you have interviewed, a single high school town, they have the entire community, that entire city around them, where we're literally split kind of in, I wouldn't say in half, because we really do lose some kids to Wilcox. But maybe a 40-40-20 type split. And, it makes it a little bit more difficult, and not this past season, but the year before, we ended up playing Maloney in the state semifinals. I don't know if there's too many cities that can sustain that kind of success from both sides.
It does make you wonder. I've always said this about towns or teams, for example, that are separated into 3 or 4 separate because of the high schools. If you combined all the schools into one, as far as Meriden, let's just call it, I don't know, whatever, Meriden, blah, blah.
Meriden High School.
Yeah, exactly. Just call it Meriden High School. Perfect.
Yeah.
I can only imagine the kind of devastation in a good way that team, because there's so much talent in Meriden. I've mentioned, before we came on, how I played with a couple ball players from Meriden, and I would ask them questions because obviously I'm not from Meriden, I'm from Watertown. And I would just ask them about, because I'm always curious about talent from different towns. And they would tell me, man, we had some talented teams. It's just that it sucked because some of our friends were at Maloney, some were, they kind of separated themselves.
Yeah, I mean, that is one of the bigger issues of having a multi-high school town, because you do, we've had years where, like, man, if we just had Maloney's running back, or if we just had Maloney's wide receiver, we needed that one more lineman that they have over there, and I'm sure they do the same thing. So you do split. I mean, they play the same youth program growing up, so they know each other, and it's actually not that bad. As far as, like, on Thanksgiving, obviously there's a great rivalry, but the kids are pretty civil about it. Maybe the adults are a little crazy, but the kids are really good about it. They're friendly afterwards. There's not much going on with that.
So, Coach, tell me about Platt football. If I was somebody, because I'm still learning about your program, because again, I love what you guys do. I follow you when I can, when I'm not broadcasting other games. But as somebody who is not familiar with the program, just tell me about how the program is run. Just tell me about Platt football. What are they?
I mean, the one thing I would say with football at Platt is we're very organized. It's very disciplined, very structured. You see, we're cooking for Memorial Day. So, I mean, we have three terms, and this was from, Coach Ryan back in the day. We talk about pride, discipline, and sacrifice. You're going to be proud to be who you are and wear the colors that you wear. You're going to be disciplined. You're going to, understand your responsibility, your rules, your role. You're going to follow that. And then finally, you're going to sacrifice. You're going to have to give something up for the betterment of the team. And that's really, those are the 3 kind of pundits, philosophies that we run under. And I think, my coaching staff follows that. We're there. People will joke around, hey, because I got a new car a couple of years ago. They're like, oh, I didn't see your truck down there. And I was like, don't worry, I'm there. And, so they and people will know, like, they'll drive by, at 9 o'clock in a Sunday morning, and I'm there. If we have practice, I'm there an hour and a half before the kids get there. My staff will show up at least 30 minutes before the kids get there. So they know that we're there. We're committed to what we do, and we don't. We live that life. We don't. We talk about, when a kid leaves or a coach leaves. That we say a lot of things that we fill out. We write PFL. Or, I'm sorry, P4L, Panther for life. So it's, we try to live that, and it's really just kind of a way of life. When I talk about football, and I talk about being a Panther, I tell the kids, it's not a sport. We're not playing the sport of football. We're living the life. And it really takes a full dedication to do it.
And I think those little things may not seem like much, but, like you mentioned, the P4L, Panther for life, the pride, discipline, sacrifice, that kind of stuff, I think could ring more with kids now than if you're trying to give them a big spiel about back in the 70s or the 80s or whatever, because those little things, especially because the way I know about Platt and kind of how, they're raised and just how they kind of go about the work, they're prideful young men, but they want to prove themselves because a lot of people doubt them.
Yeah, yeah. I think we come in, as and we've had some success. Obviously, last year wasn't a good year for us, and I think the kids come in and they do have a sense of like, hey, we're not that superstar team. We got to try to make it happen this year. And I think they come in with a lot of energy and direction towards being successful every year. And sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't. One of the big things we talk about is controlling, what you can control. I can't control if the guy across from you 6'6", 330, he's kicking your face in every down. But you can control how hard you work, how hard you play. If you're dedicated, are you responsible? Do you know what you're doing? Those types of things. And that's kind of what we preach mostly is making sure that you're doing as much as you possibly can do to make the team as good as it possibly can be.
Now, looking at the team aspect, Coach, I was looking back at the past records going back to 2016, and the way it looks right now, it looks like you'll be due for an 8 or 9 win season because it's every other year that you guys go to 8 or 9 wins. I don't know if that's on purpose, but I was like, oh, okay. Every other year, Platt wins 8 or 9 games.
Yeah, that's maybe the roller coaster of fun at Platt High School. We just can't be good every year. We have to have those down years. Honestly, I really think I think the down years actually help the following year because the kids are like, hey, I didn't like that last year. I don't like what it felt like. Let's do work. On the flip side, I think when they do have their 8 or 9 win seasons, I think they kind of get a little complacent and they're, hey, don't worry, we know what we're doing, and then we lose a couple games we probably shouldn't lose. We're not loaded every year. We don't come in just going, hey, we're going to win. We're not that type of team. So I think the kids understand that, and the more we can get them to believe into what we do year in and year out instead of every other year, it would help.
Now, does Platt run the same offense every single year, or is it something where it depends on the players?
We'll adjust it based on what we have. Last year we were very run heavy because of a quarterback situation, and we went through 3 quarterbacks, and it's just you either have the stud quarterback or you don't. And at that point last year, we really didn't have somebody with enough experience, somebody that could throw the amount of passes we needed them to throw, or the experience to play that position. So. And obviously we had a very experienced offensive line and a running back who's proven himself. So we went with a little bit more run heavy. In years past, we've been a little bit more throwing. We actually had one year where literally I broke it down and we were literally 50-50. It was I'd never seen it so even. It was like the amount of plays were literally 50-50. Yardage was 50-50. It was very, very interesting year. I mean, we were also very successful that year. But the base offense that we run, we've been running since I was in high school.
Really?
So, yeah. I mean, it hasn't really changed much. We've added a lot of different little nuances to it, different formations, ways to get those formations, things like that. But for the most part, the base offense is, it's not like I could tell everybody right now. It doesn't matter. Everybody knows what we run. It's inside, outside zone, and counter. I mean, that's what we run. So, it's not that hard. And the passes are pretty simple. We're not sitting there. We're not running NFL style 7-step drops, and it's just not going to work for us. So we do what we can do. And over the years, we've seen that certain plays and certain, formations, plays, combinations are just more successful for us.
Now, is the quarterback situation going to be more solidified this coming season, or is that still kind of up?
Blaise Lanou was a junior last year. Who he didn't play his sophomore year, and when he got the chance to play last year, he actually was doing very well. He was fitting in nicely, and then he broke his collarbone. So it was unfortunate because really I think had he finished out the year, he would have given us a little bit more success. I think later on we had to put a sophomore in that definitely was not ready to play at that varsity level. I think he did a great job. I think he worked his butt off trying to get ready, but there's a certain level of experience you have to have. When there's 4, 5, 6, 7 guys coming to knock you down, you're a sophomore who hasn't seen that yet. That's tough. So Blaze will be back at quarterback, and he's worked real hard in the off seasons up till whatever day we were out, March 12th or 13th, and then obviously, hopefully, he's still continuing that.
I think I've been a big being able to watch games throughout the years at the high school level. I've noticed that when you have a quarterback who can pass the football, and I think it's not rocket science, if your quarterback can pass the football and show it, that opens up the offense to really allow your running back some wide open gaps, because then it doesn't allow the defense to kind of stack the box. And also, too, it takes off some of the hits that Roberto would have to take, so he's more fresh later into the season. And, if we're going by the records the last couple of years, Platt will have 8 or 9 wins, maybe even more, have a chance to compete for the playoffs, and you want to have a fresh Roberto Salas.
No, I agree with you. I mean, obviously, you have to have a balance. I mean, one of the, as I'm setting this computer up to talk to you, I'm trying to figure out, what's he really going to ask me, and in all honesty, I mean, I think the schedule we play is probably one of the tougher ones. That Division II in the CCC, you're playing the middle towns and Windsor and Newington and Wethersfield, both Bristol schools. It's not easy. It's not easy, and I think week in and week out, you have to be on point. And exactly to your point, last year, teams knew we weren't a real good passing team. We saw a lot of 8 and 9 man boxes where people just try to get as many people close to the line as possible to stop Roberto. And thank God he was, he's a great kid when it comes to staying in shape. And I even said to him, I said, man, later in the year, I was asking him, like, how do you feel? And of course he's fired up. He's ready to go no matter what. He's telling me, I'm fine. I go, well, I feel like I'm abusing you a little bit because we're giving you the ball so much. He goes, no, just, and it was just, it's great to see him because, he enjoys running the ball. And I think last year, the offensive line actually enjoyed blocking for him. So, we would like to be able to throw the ball a little bit more.
The CCC is one of the better conferences, in the state, and especially in Division II. You mentioned Windsor and Wethersfield in particular. Windsor, I talked to their quarterback, who you're probably going to see for the next 3 years, Cromartie. He's a talented player. And then Wethersfield, Coach McKinnon has those young men always ready to play. So you guys have your work cut out for you as far as facing teams. But it's at some point, though, you want to face those teams, because if you beat them with all those talented players, that tells you, the staff and the young men that you have, if you can beat them, then we're going to do well in states because we're going to face teams just as good as them.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at 2 years ago, 4 teams from Division II CCC made it to the playoffs. Windsor, Middletown, Platt, Maloney. Last year, I can't remember who. I know Maloney and Wethersfield did. Newington did. So, I mean, you're talking about there's going to be at least 3 or 4 teams each year coming out of that conference. And yeah, we've had years where we were in different, the CCC changes up sometimes, who you're playing. And we've had years where, you go in that week and you're like, man, I feel bad for this team because they're coming out with, 25 kids on their roster and there's really not a good chance for them to win. And it's not good for a team, in those years when we were pretty good. It's not good for our team either because our team, kind of takes a week off of practicing. It's hard to get them fired up and practicing hard. Where I feel like right now, where we're at, we're playing all L schools. We're a larger M. And, our kids know we have to be on point every day. We have to come and we have to be ready to go. And as far as McKinnon and Wethersfield, man, he's young, he's energetic, he's fired up. He's always been like that as far as I've known him. I don't know, he might be coaching, 30 years from now in a holding a cane, still fired up, ready to go. He's got a lot of energy.
I would pay to see. I would.
What's that?
I would pay to see that. Coach McKinnon with a cane.
He's fired up. I don't know if you know, he's part of the text chain that we've been mentioned a few times on this in your different interviews. Uh,
Really?
he's part of it, and actually, you've interviewed at least two other people from that chain. So I'm the fourth one that I know of.
Oh, I hope you guys aren't saying anything bad. I hope.
Oh no. Actually, we're praising your great job here. You're giving us a chance to talk about our programs and so. But that text chain is we solve a lot of world's problems. Last night talked about peanut butter cups on s'mores instead of regular chocolates. I mean, it's an amazing thing going on.
I love that. That sounds like a group chat that could, between the football knowledge and talking about peanut butter, like, come on, can't get any better than that.
No, it's definitely helping through this non-contact time with the kids and being home and the whole coronavirus thing and not being able to go and coach spring ball or lift with kids and whatnot.
Coach Bruenn, we just about run out of time, but I really do appreciate you being able to come on, and it's always a pleasure to be able to have you, talk about Platt and just kind of get the program, which I feel like needs to get out more, just because we mentioned earlier about the sustainability and having the success that you guys have had, but also too because there's so many schools in Meriden, I feel like Platt doesn't get the justice it deserves. So I'm glad I could get you to come on to talk about the program.
Well, thanks for having me. I love going on, and if you know anybody that knows me, I love talking. So anytime you want to talk again, just give me a call or text me, and we'll set it up because this is I enjoy talking about what I do. I enjoy talking about Platt football, and I think we do a lot of good things, and we want to win that state title at some point, and we're going to keep working to get that.
Well, you're welcome to come back on anytime you want. If Platt has 8 or 9 wins, 10 wins, come on and start talking about the playoffs, man. I'd love to be able to get Platt, playoff football, which I'm sure people in Meriden, at least on the Platt side, would love to be able to watch.
Yeah, it would be great. We want to get back to those playoffs, but we enjoy going there.
Now, wrap things up in the Connecticut Sports Talent Show. So until next time, stay safe and enjoy the rest of your day, everybody.